I'd like to start next section. Next section is by Professor Chutatip Umavijani. The title is Bioethics and Digital Age. So please.
Thank you. It is my pleasure to present you today the bioethics and digital age, which I feel that is important for us at the moment. Bioethics and digital age, why? Why is it so important? When we talk about bioethics, which means we've been talking about autonomy, which means respect to other people, beneficence, best for one and what is best for everyone at the same time, non-maleficence, not to harm others, and justice, what is good and what is just, and all this question has been raised up like yesterday and today at the same time. So what is about the digital age? Never before in the human civilization that we confront with the age of technology with great speed of knowledge, which turn over our economy and society. And right now you go anywhere on the street, especially in my country, in the BTS, the SkyTrain, you see people bathing themselves and looking into their cell phone. This never happened before, and it's happening. And in the 20th century, we call it information age. The information age, which means that we have a better life, better, faster, in all directions. So digital technology had changed the face of human. Many people have been talking about this subject already, and the computer development has been accelerated so fast, and the internet, electronic game, and e-learning. So everything has to be changed, especially even the games of the children, nor the way we learn from the classroom. And this morning we heard about the AI, which Professor Akai that gave a very long and very interesting paper. Automation, a trade of worker who has been little education, reduced need to hire employer with lower skill level. This will happen in the future, and what will happen to the rest of us, especially the working class and the way we learn in all directions. So there will be problems with the lawyer, journalist, scientist, pharmacist, radiologist, medical doctor, who specialize in interpretation, when we talk about AI this morning too, many jobs will be limited. All this require tremendous amount of training for many years, has been abolished. Because of this, technology can replace all the jobs for human beings. And so the world of inequality is what we are facing. The African youth, only 3 out of 5 offline. In Europe, only 1 out of 25 offline. Reading in the website, English is a requirement, 60% of the people around the world. And 12 more men use the internet than women. But I'm not sure about in my country, because of the friends and people are using a lot of internet and lines and everything. So the problem with the labor-saving technology, new technology is assimilated into business model. Google, Facebook, massive market buying, hiring only tiny number of people, and the same as new high technology industries create in the future. Fewer and fewer people will be in work. There will be less people work in the future. What will become of the society and economy? Certainly, the problem of unemployment. In America, 30 years ago, or 40, 50 years ago, there were a big seminar on how to use your time when you have more free time. I think the American knows what will happen in the next 50 years because they are so active, doing so many things. But how could you spend your free time? This is time that the humanities will face with the free time that they have. But if they don't know how to use it wisely, that will be another problem. So, even though we are gaining higher education and skill, but still there's no job. So what will happen to our mass market economy? Who can spend the money at the top of the pyramid? Only few can spend the money. And you can imagine only the few who are at the top of the pyramid use all whatever they want, whereas the mass cannot enjoy the rest of the goods in the society. Technology, society, and environmental challenge. Of course, we are facing, especially in Thailand, I'm sure all around the world, the aging population increasing so much. I understand that many Japanese went to Thailand and set up the home for the elders in Thailand also. The Thai people also need a lot of home for their own elders as well. We also have the climate change, and as yesterday some people show the monsoon and every drastic change in the whole world. This is what another thing that we will face in this 50 years ahead of us, or we still live that long. Rescue depression, far too great to recover. Hoping that advanced technology should help to face the challenge and solve the inequality, technological unemployment, and climate change. Well, Martin Ford wrote a book on the rise of robots. Doubt about the accelerating technology that will disrupt our entire system to the point where a fundamental restructuring may be required if prosperity is to continue. We don't know what will happen next. In the Silicon Valley phase, disruptive technology. That technology has the power to devastate entire industries, economy, and job market. In Thailand, many people who work for the bank required to prepare themselves for unemployment. More than 10,000 jobs will be lost. So the power of digital age and the ethics of the East and the West. This is what my concern, and is also concerned about how do we face in the future. The quality of being human are replaced by human genome. Perfection and imperfection, that's what we'll face. Some people will become so perfect, and some, you can see the imperfection still facing. The equality and the inequality, the natural and unnatural. So this is what will happen in the next generation. We have a bigger gap of man in one direction and the other in another direction. With the new creation of man, can we still maintain care and dignity? I think this morning AI have mentioned about that. Compassion, brotherhood, love, feeling of the fellow being, kindness, understanding, consideration, and sympathy. These are whatever we will have to maintain. Have we maintained with that quality of the technology that we have? Digital technology, computer, mobile phone, make difference among human relationships. Some people, you go to a restaurant, sometimes you see four people sitting together with a mobile phone in each of their phone. They never talk to one another, but they're just there and using the mobile phone. And you can see that in many places. And altruism, loving and kindness can be placed by technology. The quality that leads man to live together in peace. The principle and moral practice concerning for happiness of the other being, resulting in quality of life, both material and spiritual. Can we still have that quality together? The sense of selflessness and selfishness. This is a big question for the next generation. Technology help us to be more selfish, or do become selflessness? Can we live together with being more selfish? I think these are the questions that we have to think about. Disruption technology and man. High technology and man, the quality of machine over man. At what point one can be saved one's life? Do we have the right to die or the right to live? For example, when this is happened in America several years ago, when a girl who has been drugged with so many drugs, and she lived through the many helping from the hospital, and her eyes begging the parents to let her go because the brain does not function anymore, and she just lived because of those helping strings around her head. This question will come back again and again, even with all the help even in my country and at many other places. When the help of the technology, the help of the we can ever help people to live on and on, but without being able to call the dead person. This is what we ask about the brain dead, who will help to pull the plug. And also, when you are being born, how you know that the gift child that the doctor can produce 5 or 6 babies, I mean the organs, the eggs. And how would you say that which egg has a right to go on? That you can. This is a question again, the right to live. Well, the sense of helplessness, problem that cannot be solved. Unemployment, inequality in the society, distribution of income. These are the sense that bring man to become helpless to their life. What can they do with these kind of problems? What is the quality of life? Again, when we develop more in technology, but we also have more stress, we have more unsatisfactory life and discontentment. So are we wiser with the technology, digital technology that we are facing? So, what I suggest here is that scientists need to follow questions in the foreign technology change. What kind of life do we want? What is the quality of life? What is the meaning of life? What is a good life? What is good for man? How far can we intervene with the nature? Respect our fellow being and natural surrounding. Well, Professor Nader talked about Tao yesterday. I think this is a question that big concern for the Taos. And Thomas, the Greek king, who once asked by Thoth, the god of inventor, would you look at my writing that I invented? I hope that it should do something good for man. But Thomas, the great god, the great king of Egypt, he's a wise man. He said, well, when you invented writing, even writing itself will lead man not to memorize things, For example, right now we walk to any place, like yesterday I want to come to the university, I have to open the direction, which I've been here so many times. But when you depend on something, you depend on that. And they say that if you took away all the signs in the States, nobody can return home because they have no sign to tell them where to go. So, Thomas said, once a technology is admitted, it plays out of hand. It does what it is designed to do. Our task is to understand what that design is. When we admit a new technology into the culture, we must do it with our eyes open. So, Plato's Phaedrus has pointed out about the technology and man many long time ago. And this means that we have to be very careful. Our inventions are but improved means to an unimproved end. Thoreau said the same thing. Scientists can invent so many things, like Professor Lai said yesterday, the Chinese invented about the mosquitoes, and it means that they can do anything about natural surrounding. They can change everything, but do they know the consequence of it? This is an improved end. In many ways that we find, like even television. How do you know that? We depend on ourselves upon television, but do we know what is good for? Is it really good for man? In the States, school teachers about 5 years old or 3 years old baby go to the nursery school. The teacher can tell which baby has been fed by television rather than teaching by the parents, because the eyes has no lights, no wrinkle to tell whether they are learning anything. This is the change the technology has done to the kids. And also the elders, when you feed the elders with television, they become so subdued to their own habit. They hardly move, they've been feeding by television all the time. And so nothing wrong with technology, but the man who don't know how to use the technology. Now we come to the problem of healthcare and education. Is it necessary to promote the equality of healthcare and education for all? It is necessary. Yesterday, Professor Prof, you present the problem of the education in India and also in my country, and I'm sure that many poor countries facing the problem with good education for all. And the question also, do the rich have more rights to live than those who have not? For example, you can change your organs, your liver, your kidneys, without, you're not reaching to the point of death anyhow, because you can change everything. Technology for good health, how to provide for all. That is, what is justice? So what is the right thing to do for the right people? You see? And that is a big problem. So how do you know what is good, what is just? The problem of education, how to prepare the young to acknowledge different way of life, culture, food, learn what is good for one's life. In China right now there are so many fat babies because they go to junk food. McDonald's go to China already. I'm sure that, I think the Japanese are the one who are able to protect yourself from the junk food much more than many other countries. Because if you go to France even, you will see a lot of fat people, 2 or 3 times my son's size, and that is a disaster. And physically, mindfully, and spiritually, how can we bring that back to the human being? So, the concept of know thyself, I think this is what one have to come to the point. What one needs is to do is to look for oneself, no matter what. All your life, I'm almost 70, I still learn a lot more about myself. which I never know before. And you can never stop learning. Self-satisfaction and self-knowledge can be reached only from within. But we are always looking outside, never look inside. Because it's easier to look out, never to look back within. And sometimes the problem of looking back is so painful because you find so many mistakes within your own. And to accept it, that is even more difficult. Present state of mankind is looking more outer than within. And we cannot find the answer, no matter where you look. So education, to understand ecology, self-knowledge, and self-sufficient society, the sustainable for the farmers, for the Thai people, but only few Thais can understand and listen to him and practice. Because it's so difficult to be self-sufficient. It's also difficult to understand what one needs for one life. So, questions for answer. Questions for all scientists and technocrats is to think about how to promote the self-knowledge, self-satisfaction and self-sufficiency. Not to go on blindly without direction. When we move around with the picture from the shopping centers and all the gadgets, we always get ourselves very blind, hardly open our eyes. The curse of ignorance, man without being good or wise is nevertheless satisfied with himself. He has no desire for that of which he feel or want. Socrates said in the Plato Symposium. So, of course, we need to know what is good for oneself. We should be satisfied with oneself. And to be satisfied with oneself is to have the self-knowledge, which is so difficult, so much of introspection and technology. All these things does not really help us to reach to that point. So, to look within means to be able to protect and respect others. If one cannot respect oneself, how can you respect others? And if one doesn't know what is best for one, what is good and just, how can you bring the society to reach to what is good for the others and what is a just society? So these are the things that I think is very important for all of us to concern about and think about. Yes. And that's about the end of my presentation. Am I the only one who's ahead of time?
Got time still, one more time. So.
Okay. Right.
No worries.
Yes. Thank you.
So thank you so much for very impressive and comprehensive presentation about the impact of advanced technology for all of us. And you mentioned about the possibility of inequality, employment induced by the advanced technologies. And you also mentioned about impact on current human relationship. And you also present us the countermeasures to live good in the era of advanced technologies. So I have no, any disagreement, and I'm very impressed by your presentation. But I have some question to clarify your presentation. So, as a conclusion, you recommend us that know ourselves.
Yes, yes.
So, and we have to learn from inside us.
Right.
So, I would like to more about that in detail. Could you tell me a little bit about it?
Well, thank you for asking the question. This is a crucial question that I always tell to my students. To learn about yourself, it means to have time, at least 10 or 5 minutes a day, introspect what you have done. How do you feel when anything happened? For example, why do you feel this way when you meet a person? Or why do you feel this way when you read a certain kind of books or see a certain kind of movie? It's a reflection upon your own towards what you face each day. So the easiest way is to write a diary. Write a diary, writing what is in your mind, because it's so difficult to know who you are, you know. And you can tell that to your kids. Find time, 5 or 10 minutes, write down what happened in you, what happened in a day for you. It's not what you do or what you eat is delicious, but why do you feel it's delicious? Why do you feel that when you walk in the forest, you feel so peaceful and nice? While you walk in the shopping center, you feel very irritated or whatever. Reflects upon oneself. Yes.
Well, thank you very much. And I have third question. So I would like to know your opinion about the impact of advanced technology upon our virtues such as care, dignity, compassion, brotherly love, fellow feeling, kindness, sympathy, altruism. So
the impact of technology.
On them.
Wow. Something very simple. For example, I just mentioned television. When you watch television, right now, many people have their own room, sitting in their own room and watch television. In the old days, you watch together because it's so expensive. So you have the sense of togetherness. You can see the movie in America, they said, oh, first television arrived and then people gather around the television and watch together in the whole family. But now it's separated. Now you have each computer on your own. So technology somehow divided a person into one's own self, hide more and more and more within oneself. And this is, you don't feel that the other person is feeling. You don't know how to give other people the love, you know, because you are separated from the entire community. So, not many people can realize this because we are the victim. There's a book came out and talk about the 4 reasons we should eliminate television from the humanities. We know that we can't do that, but the one who wrote it is Jerry Mander. He said that television has done a lot of great things for our society. For example, another thing is that television can have effect upon politics and all kinds of propaganda that we always happen, like in Kennedy and Nixon. Without television, Kennedy would not win the war, would not win the election, because he speaks so well and Nixon cannot compete with him. And there are so many examples on that. Yeah.
Okay.
I hope that's not it's a clear analogy to see the technology, what technology has done to us. Yeah.
Thank you very much. So, is there any comment or question from audience?
Yes, please.
Mike, please.
Microphone, please.
Thank you very much for the inspiring talk. I just wanted to make a comment about the use of technology. I see it as a creative destructor, a destructive creator, in that although it really changes the way things operate, and the benefits are felt by those who can maximize the new technology for their own benefit, and those who can't really feel the destructive side. Then again, for education, I notice how children are Googling everything. If they have a question, they'll Google, and even if they don't have anyone around them who can answer the question. When they have a thought, they can just ask and find videos, or it can just become a trigger for thought. And I noticed, because everything is so materialistic these days, people are seeking more time for thinking or meditation, and in that sense, because it's becoming so materialistic, that is actually making people try to stop and think, or just to pause. And I just wanted to throw that in the conversation. It's just an observation.
You just comment.
Yes, it's just a comment.
Yeah. I would like to add to you what you just said, is that one of the Thomas, which I didn't say that much about him at the moment, when Todd showed him, Todd is a god of inventor. When he showed him, oh, I invented writing, and Thomas said, wow, you know, with the writing, people will think that they know so much. In fact, they don't know that much. Even with the kids, they have Google, everything. So they have information with them all the time. They are so acknowledged, very knowledgeable in many things. In fact, they are not. We have all kinds of information in the tip of our finger, but in fact, we know nothing. You know? And the point is that technology, we have new way of learning. But in education, which I just mentioned the other day, when in education, without the teacher, where can be a good example for the kids? Because the teacher is a sample for kids to learn from her, from them, from the teacher. Without that, did you have the Google, everything, then you learn from the Google. Who can be the sample, the set of the sample for the children in the future? You have no model, you know? And besides, right now they claim that computer game become a game for, like in the competing game anywhere in the whole world. It's just like in golfing, soccer, whatever. Computer game become a game. So people try to master their game through computer game, even the small kids. And then I think the Korean won the game, become the big sample for the computer game about a few years ago. Yeah, it's I don't know, it's a tribal festival, and I think this is a part of the chain of the generation. So sometimes they stay with the computer for many hours per day in order to, instead of reading books or go to school. So this is a downfall of the humanities in many ways. And the parents cannot control them. And many times the parents give them mobile phone to keep them shut up. You don't have to say anything, just play with the games. And by the time they found out, it's too late. The doctor saw many cases that the children go to hospital because of they're addicted to the games and the computer and the mobile phone. Yeah.
Thank you. So is there any comment for this comment? Okay? No. So is there any other comment from anybody? If there is no comment, so we can close this session. Okay?
So, thank you, Chutatip. I wondered, do you think there's a particular aspect of Buddhism as opposed to Taoism or Christianity or Islam when we approach our togetherness with the digital world?
Good question. But difficult to answer. I want to point out one thing about Buddhism that we forgot to mention. When you talk about Buddhism, it's a pessimist religion. In fact, Buddhism is a realist. The Buddha is a realist because he look at things as the way it is. First, the changeable of all things. Well, Heisenberg, the quantum physics of Heisenberg also said everything is a process of change. Well, you mentioned about the table. In fact, the molecule is always moving, never stays still, but it's moved so fast. So that we think that it's so hardened. Yeah? In fact, it's changing. Our body is changing at all times. When we breathe in, the doctor here know everything. So we're in the process of change. Second, the suffering. This is a point that when you say pessimist, the suffering came from that we cannot control that. We cannot control not to change. Nobody wants to get old, nobody wants to get sick, nobody wants to die. They want to be young as ever. But this is a life, and this is a fact of life. And third, the no self. This is the most difficult thing. The other day I talked to a professor and about the concept of no self. The closest Westerner that come to this concept is David Hume, the empiricist of the British empiricist. Hume said, if we look at ourselves, we can see the bundle of experience that we collect since we were young until now. It's just a matter of series of recollection. Where do you pinpoint that this is us? Yeah. Whether when we are 9 years old, 5 years old, or 10 years old, or even 60 years old, because they were in the process of change. We cannot pin down which is us. So if the technology help to enlightenment through observing ourselves, like Heisenberg did, the cells that are always changing at all times, the mind, the good thoughts depends on the good thoughts bring good cell to the body, whereas the bad thought damage the cell of the body. This is all has been proved, but it's never said out loud. So people keep on thinking badly. The politician never think about if they only get what they want for their own benefit. It doesn't help the whole society. They are the ones who get affected by that. And this is a good point, Daryl. When we talk about corruption, well, you mentioned the other day, corruption is everywhere. But you don't know that when you corrupt, the result of the corruption become part of yourself. And you're the one who will get the result without knowing it. Yeah. This is always the true fact about life. The attracts, like attracts. If you do the good things, your own karma do good. You will get the good karma. And if you do bad, you get the bad karma. How technology can prove this to the normal human being? In Thailand, we try to bring into a soap movie in the television, but it doesn't prove that much. People don't buy it that much. Yeah. But thank you for asking the question.
Thank you.
Yes,
So, you
yes please.
it's another comment from my side. I'm very impressed by several points you mentioned, particularly the two apparently contrasting matters combining into one. One is that you are talking about looking inside yourself, is to respect others. That is apparently different thing, but it's combined into one. In a similar way, when you are talking about mobile phone, the most modern technologies, together with the philosophy of Socrates and Plato. And on the basis of my experience, I feel it's interesting when I traveled several villages in developing countries where their lifestyle is still very nearly Stone Age time. And before visiting, I thought if I had a time machine and with modern technology, if I traveled to Stone Age, what kind of reaction the people in Stone Age would feel. And but still in modern times, there's that kind of lifestyle there. And it is a very interesting scene I saw, was that in a Stone Age cottage, youngsters are using mobile phone with portable electricity. And I wonder how people can cope in their mind the two aspects of life. One is Stone Age life, and the other is the mobile phone. And through your own presentation, I started to feel it can be combined. That is my comment. Thank you very much.
Well, good question. Again, you're asking how the Stone Age people use the mobile phone.
How they can cope in their mind the two completely different factors into one. And that is somewhat parallel with Socrates and Plato philosophy, still very useful in modern times with mobile phone.
Right. So that's why I thought that the Greeks somehow very smart. They are everything ahead of time.
And also people's way of thinking, particularly the leadership of these villages, the chieftains, their way of thinking is again very modern. If you talk to them, it's a very modern way of thinking, but they are totally illiterate.
Who did you talk about?
Those chieftains of Stone Age village.
Oh, the Stone Age village.
So they are not ancient people, but they are very modern people. Way of thinking is the same as what we are thinking. That's why the ancient philosophers like Socrates and Plato's saying is still useful in modern times. That is very interesting to me. And how they can, in their mind, cope between the two extremes, most modern technology and Stone Age lifestyle. How it's cope in their mind. That is my feeling and question. I mean that's in how you would comment on it.
That reminds me of Tao. When Tao talk about nature, natural surrounding, the Taoists, they are very scientific mind with the hexagram that we mentioned the other day, the hexagram that they have. It can tell all about the whole natural surrounding. And if they know the roots of everything, and with a mobile phone, I think they are more conscious in how to use it. But if you bring the mobile phone to anyone, like the small kids, they see their parents use it, they don't know the roots of it. They can use it wrongly. But for those who are acknowledged of the natural being or the reality of all things, they can use it with cautious. I think what Plato or in Timaeus that mentioned about Thoth and Thomas, he just wants people to be cautious of the new technology that they are moving, that they are using. Even that Atlantis that Plato mentioned about one of the mount that is very progress in technology and destroy itself. The Atlantis people, I think you probably, it burst. And they said at one point they don't know how to use the technology, so they think you can damage its own self. I think Plato learned about this too. So I think the ancient people, they learn anything at all because they are cautious of what they are doing. Because they learn about the natural being around them. The nature itself teaches us everything. I hope I answered your question.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Very clear. Thank you.
Thank you.
So thank you very much. Is there any other question? No? Okay, so that is for this session. Thank you very much.
Thank you.